And then I can wait next time. Put together a great presentation.
Yeah, nothing problem. Andrea, got back. Oh, we all went to Brown.
All right, how's everybody doing? You want to get started? Where's my Zoom? Hey, Zoom people, can y'all hear us? Yes.
Anna, you're downstairs, right?
Good deal. No, they're a bunch. They're a bunch on Zoom. There's a. I just made it small, so we're not. Cool. All right, how's everybody doing? You ready to do some business planning? Cool. We're gonna hide that. All right, this is the way we start everything. So turn to the person next to you, take 30 seconds, tell them something you're grateful for. All right, what are y'all hearing? Bring it on back. What do you got? What do you got? Hey, people in the chat room or online, y'all can type something in the chat too. Whatever you're grateful for. Zaya. All right, what are y'all hearing? Who's got something good?
My child's no longer sick. Last day to come out.
Child is no longer sick, says Will Reynolds. What do you got, Virginia?
The rain comes after my free market goes for.
Free market broker open. Virginia's got a, where is it? Under 500,000 address?
883 Belton,
883 Belton in Westmead, time
11 to 1.
11 to 1. Hey, as Rusty Moore always says, if you're a realtor, you can eat and drink for free every day of the week at this business.
And he does.
All right. Cool. So a couple quotes. Andrew, you want to read this?
A goal without a plan is just a wish.
Just a wish. So our job today is to try to figure out how do we turn these wishes into plans. And then Warren Buffett, I was channeling some Hunter here. I said, someone's sitting in the shade today because someone else planted a tree a long time ago. This is not an else in there, but it should. So Village, we show this every meeting, every sales meeting, but I want to remind you about why we're here, why we do what we do. We are here to inspire you, the people within the company, to be the best versions of yourself so that you can have a magnificent life. So everything that we do in this business is designed, like we're here as customer service and sales and sometimes janitorial when we're cleaning a house. We do it all right, but we don't just do it for that. We do it for ourselves, and we do it to try to make our lives better. And I think there's no better business in the world to give you the flexibility, the freedom to really be able to reach whatever heights you want, whatever your definition of success is. So I think that's really important, and you'll hear that theme throughout. So check this out. This little guy is pretty cool, just to get you going.
What do you got, your words of wisdom? What about for all the other kids trying to learn how to ride their bike? You say anything to them? Give me some thumbs up.
Enthusiastic.
I'd say that kid's gonna have a pretty magnificent life. He's already started. So again, Village exists to inspire our people within the company to be the best versions of themselves so they can have a magnificent life. That means you. That means me too. That means Will and Andrea. All right, so 2022 analysis, right? So this is a form that Ninja has. There's no right. I'll start off by saying there's no right or wrong way to do this, right? So don't get caught up in the weeds. This form right here is really designed. It's kind of a reflection on this year. All of you all should have gotten an email. You probably got two because the first one I sent out had everything mixed up. Did you get 5?
There were 5.
Wow. If anyone has any tips on how to do a mail merge in the email, let me know, because apparently I didn't know what I was doing. It was a little scary. I was like, go. I thought I was just going to put them in my drafts folder. Next thing I know, they start sending out. I was like, wait, I hadn't checked it. So looking at your income for the last, those numbers were year to date, but you can look at this. Where can you find this stuff?
V-Mint.
On V-Mint, right? You can look at Real Tracks. You might track this stuff on your own as well. So looking at your income for the last 12 months, why is looking at it quarterly important? Taxes, right? Oh, that's a good reminder. Yeah, we do have to pay the man every quarter.
To see how cyclical your business is.
Yeah, I think that's helpful too, to see how cyclical your business is, right? Around the holidays, sometimes it's a slower time. It's always a little alarming to me. I'm like, I got to get all these Christmas gifts for my kids. I didn't have a closing this month. Uh-oh. So it gives you a reminder to plan a little bit. These next questions about working, how many hours per week? I have trouble tracking this, so I think some of this is going to be a little bit of a guess. But the idea is to try to figure out what?
$3 per hour.
Yeah, your income per hour. Jonathan Ho said in here a couple weeks ago about, he said, I actually look at income per transaction. He said, I try to track how many hours I work because it's easier to understand, you know, how many times did if I showed 27 houses, well, that's a lot more time invested than if I showed 3 houses, and trying to understand like, all right, is there one type of client or one personality that works better with me and is more efficient, or that I'm more efficient with, then you can double down on that. So really this is trying to figure out what are those insights that you can get to try to go. And so we're gonna really, nobody can do this for you. You have to do it yourself, and it's going to take some time. I'd carve out an hour or two. Who finished this? Anybody finish it? Did it take 2 hours? Probably get it done in an hour, maybe 2. Average closed sales price and your average closed listing price. So what, how do we make money in this business? Right, closings, right? So I think there's 3 ways that you can make more money or less money. Let's say more money right now. What are those ways?
Charge more.
You could charge more, right? You could say, I'm charging, you know, 1% more than everybody else. That'll make you more money. What else? Sales price, average sales price goes up, right? Or you just sell more units, right? Sell more houses. So if you go from 10 to 15, you can make more money at the same sales price. If you go to 10 homes and you increase that average sales price from $600,000 to $700,000, that'll make you more money. Or if you just charge more. So those are 3 ways that you can do it. What's the easiest way? I don't know the answer to this. There may not be a right answer. What do y'all think is the easiest way? What's the easiest way for you?
More units.
More units?
More higher.
Increase the average.
Yeah.
Increase average sales price.
Increase average sales price? It's probably the most tangible thing is more units, because we can like wrap our head around that. We're like, all right, has anybody ever done this when you go to buy something? You're like, I just need 1 more sale. And then like, it's great, right? I need to buy a car. It's just 2 more houses, 3 more houses. I just got to sell 3 more houses and then I can pay cash for the car. Am I the only one that's ever justified things like that? Okay. So you can wrap your head around it. It's tangible. You understand it. It makes sense. We can't always control directly the average sales price. Well, like Andrew, what do you think? What are some ways that you can increase your average sales price?
Without increasing your average sales price, did you say?
What, how would you like increase your average sales price? Because that's something that is like, do you interview a buyer and you're like, ooh, yeah, I'm sorry, you are not, you're $50,000 off of my average sales price. I'm not going to let you hurt my numbers, so I'm not taking you on as a client. Yeah, you probably don't do that.
I still remember when Doug Tulamare went and he just started going to open houses in like Oak Hill or whatever, or Green Hills, just because he wanted to increase his average sales price.
Yeah.
So he would go to open houses that were $1 million plus or whatever. And then all of a sudden he started getting those listings. And
So is that magic?
no,
So you start going to $1 million open houses, you start getting those listings?
I don't think so.
No,
You're showing that.
it's not magic, but you're showing up. Also, it's a mindset thing. You're changing your mindset into believing that that's okay. And what you see, you end up talking about. And then next thing you know, you're in the flow with your customers of like, wow, I saw this awesome house. It had X, Y, and Z. I always tell new agents, or I've told new agents a lot over the years, that if somebody asks you like, how's business? If you're starting out and they're saying, so how's business? Somebody you know pretty well. What are they really asking?
How are you doing in the business?
Are you cutting it? They're like, how's business? Because they're not sure how the answer is going to be. So instead of saying, it's great, right? Give them a story. Talk about something tangible. It's really, really good. Maybe you haven't sold anything, but maybe you just sold something a couple of months ago and you said, yeah, I had this really awesome client. They bought a house over in East Nashville 2 months ago. It was really, really fun. I was in this house the other day. You're not going to believe it. It had a, whatever the cool feature is. Right? You're going from being into kind of an interrogation type question to now you're confident, you're speaking confidently, you know what you're talking about, or at least you sound like you know what you're talking about. And then you're in a relationship with those people. So that's a way better answer than just like, great. So those are ways that you can increase your average sales price. Try to figure out who are your buyers that can afford more if you want to do that. I always am hesitant to recommend spending money. But Jack Miller, who's in the Parks Green Hills office, he had a story that when he started out, he does a lot of high-end deals. And he did like a 6-month campaign, I think in Focus or something. This is probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And he said, I don't have any high-end listings. But he started calling a lot of agents and said, hey, I'm taking out an ad in Focus. Could I put your listing in there for you? I'll have your name and contact info on it. My name and info will be kind of in the big block. Would that be okay? I'll go preview it. Loved it. I want to spend some money and try to find a buyer for you. And a lot of them are like,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, sure. That's great. And so he did that. And I think there were 6 blocks or 9 blocks of listings. And he said after about 3 months, he filled in one of those blocks with his own. After about 5 months, he filled in another block. And he was like, I'm doing this again. He kept it going for a year. By the end of the year, he'd filled up all those blocks with his own properties. So again, that was a very concerted effort, but he was consistent about it and spent some money doing it. But it was about changing his mindset. It was about getting himself in the right, in kind of that right network, I suppose, to sell those. So understanding what your average sales price is important. What about I took blank listings and I went on blank listing appointments percentage listed? Has anybody ever lost a listing appointment? It hurts. It's never fun. Yeah. But if you're not losing one every now and then you're probably not going on enough, right? So it's never fun. And I remember when I look at this every year, I always have to think back because a lot of times if I lose one, I'm just like, just kind of like put it out of my brain, right? Forget about it, move on, which is, I think, good and healthy mentally, but it's also a good reminder that, hey, that's okay. That means that I tried and failed, but it's better than not trying at all. Presently have blank number of active listings. This is a good one. And I know sometimes we haven't in the last couple of years. If you are a listing agent, it's been hard to hold listing inventory. A lot of really high-end agents or like really volume-oriented agents will talk about that number. How many one of their metrics is to hold X number of active listings at any given time, because they know that's their what? Their pipeline, right? That's their pipeline. So you have X number of active listings, 5 active listings, 7 active listings, whatever that is, 2 active listings. You know that there's always something churning. As listings have been selling more quickly in the last 2 years, it's been harder to do that. So now things are a little bit more normal in terms of kind of the pace of sales, and it's a really good thing. Mark Deutschman said in the 2008 to 10, 11 range, he said, look, I don't mind if a listing doesn't sell. Like there's certain things that I can control and there's certain things that I can't, right? Listings are going to sit in the market longer. You know what's beautiful about that? My signs are everywhere and they're staying up for longer, and people drive by and they see them all over the place. It's like kind of a silver lining way to look at things, but it was also that slowness really actually helped amplify his business. All right, so this is a 40X question. Average blank calls per week prospecting. Who's in 40X right now? What's lead measure 1? Call 5 people. Thanks, Hampton. Call 5 people. Have a genuine conversation. What do you call people for? What do you call people for, Andrew? What kind of wine do you like?
Just to connect. I love having those support calls with people, seeing what they're doing, how they're doing, with the end goal of hopefully getting a client out of it. But no, really just for connection.
If you feel scared to call somebody, how do you get over that?
I stalk their social media and see what I can talk to them about.
There you have it.
There you have it.
Stalking 101.
Stalking 101. So stalk their social media, see what you can talk to them about. What do y'all do if you're afraid to call somebody, because that's totally normal? What do you do?
Get in the car.
You get in the car.
It is so much easier for me to make calls in the car.
And Chandler Deutsch says, get in the car.
And drive an hour. You can make
Just
money.
As long as she's not in Rourke's code, it works well.
Yeah. So make some calls. As long as you're paying attention to the road, it kind of gives you in the zone.
Oh, I have no cell service.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You have no cell service at home. Okay. That's good. What else? What else do y'all do to overcome that call anxiety? All right, so text. I would argue that texting is probably not as efficient as calling, but sometimes it's an easier entree into, is that the right word? Entree into the relationship. I cannot be in the dating world right now. People break up over text, ask people out over text. Espresso. That helps you overcome fear? All right, there you go.
I do like the text, the soft approach. Hey, I was thinking about you. I know it's busy right now, holiday time. Probably have a second. I would love to catch up with for lunch or coffee or drinks or something.
Yeah.
And it does get that little fear base out of it a little bit. I do agree texting is not as efficient and productive as actual phone call. But if you are nervous, you haven't talked to the person in a while, just send a soft log over to them and see if they can call back.
Yeah.
Something better than that.
It's a generational thing too, right? So know your audience. Know your audience.
Yeah.
David, I see you. David Dorse is back there. I see you. I look out the window and I see you wandering around the parking lot on the phone on a nice day. I don't know, all the time. So you're on the phone a lot. What makes you feel comfortable calling somebody? What are you calling them about? If it's not straight up business related,
I like to talk on the phone more, so.
you just like to talk on the phone.
But I think it's like you genuinely ask what's going on with them and really care about that, figure out, and if there's business there, it'll lead to it. You don't really even have to.
So you're not calling asking for the business.
worry about it.
You're calling about,
Just happen.
I mean, like, oh man, I saw sort of like what Andrea said. I saw you went on that trip. Like, how was that?
Yeah, I mean, I yesterday called some people, I texted them because popped in my head a couple of times. Said exactly that, because popped in my head a couple of times. How's it going for the coffee next week?
Awesome. All right. So
You know, it's probably nothing from a business standpoint, but they store and ask me about some space, whatever.
so they popped into your head.
They popped in my head and I just checked in. So it's like whenever I think that happens, somebody pops in your head, and you say, hey, do people like it? Make them pop.
That's awesome.
Like this business, it's like it becomes annoying, just like for us to be. All of us, we kind of know what to do.
We know they have an alternate agenda. So don't have an agenda. I think that's probably, don't have an agenda, be authentic, be genuine. I thought that was neat too. You said you're friends with the husband and the wife. So instead of calling one or the other, you actually started out, and you're a phone guy, a talking phone guy, but you sent a text to both of them and said, hey, y'all popped in my head a couple times recently. Just wanted to check in. And maybe one of them called you back.
They texted back. And they're like,
Okay, so they texted back.
coffee.
And then you set up a coffee.
Control it from there,
Yeah,
yeah. About Wednesday.
that's awesome. I'm part of my 40X. I'm doing it too. And so I am trying to make my calls every week. I called a past client that I hadn't talked to. I probably haven't seen him in over a year, and called him, didn't get an answer, left a voicemail, sent him a text, and just said, hey, I was thinking about you. I hadn't talked to you in forever. Just wanted to see how everything's going. A little while later, he called back. He was like, man, I miss seeing you. Like, let's get together. Let's go get lunch. And so we went and got lunch. Did that last week. While I was there, he was like, gosh, this is actually great timing. I've got somebody that I used to work with that's thinking about moving to Nashville. Can you talk to him and tell him like what the market's like? And it'd be great if they moved here. Yeah, I'd be happy to. So those things just lead to that kind of stuff. So understanding, where does your listings come from? Where does your sales come from? Why do you want to know? Focus in that area, right? So if there's a pattern, if you're really good at open houses, double down on that, right? Justin, you've done open houses on like not just Sunday 2 to 4, but you've tried like Thursday evening, you've tried Saturdays, and you've got a really good system. You're like, yeah, I get a lot of business from it. So put your efforts into that area. Maybe you work a couple days in the weekend and you take 3 days off during the week. I don't know. I mean, if it works for you, it works. So again, just understanding your metrics is really important. I'm not going to go through each of these question by question because it's different for each of you. But some of these things are things that you can have influence over. Some of them you can't. But it's important to know, like number of days on the market for MLS listings. That might be a question that a seller could ask you who's interviewing you. So helpful to know those metrics. My highest price buyer close and my lowest price buyer close, right? What's your range? Same thing with your listings. What range are you taking? Are you taking on more lower end listings than high price listings? Maybe that's a factor of being, that's just your network. Maybe it's a factor that you've got some fear of those higher price listings. Have you ever had somebody say, I don't know how to market $1 million house, right? I can do a $500,000 house all day long. Newsflash, it's not that much, not that different, right? There are a couple little tweaks here and there that you can do, but it's not that different. So understanding your commission splits, how many weekends did you work? And then biggest mistake and biggest win. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So financial goals. How do you know when you're setting a goal, how do you know how much to reach for? Like, is it arbitrary? Usually that's how people do it. It's like, I want to do 10 million this year. I want to do 30 million this year. I want to do 2 million this year of sales volume, or I want to sell 10 transactions. Most people come up with that because what? Sounds nice. I like 10. It's a nice round number. It's easy. Yeah. But it doesn't, that's not really that effective because it's kind of random. So you're not tied to it. You're not emotionally tied to it. You're not financially tied to it. So if you can create a way to be financially tied to your goals, you'll have a lot more success in terms of achieving them. So Andrea, talk a little bit about, like, there's a lot of money that you can spend on this stuff. What?
Yeah, so the way I approach it will sum this up. I'm not going to get to it line by line. It's knowing what your needs to have to live the life that you want to live. And that's broken down into 2 different numbers. There's the, I need to make this much money to pay my bills, to have food on my table, to take care of my children if you have children, take care of your pets if you have pets, you know, like the necessities. Every day, if you don't have it, you're gonna have to go to mama and ask for money, you know, that kind of amount. And then add on to it your recreation and dream stuff. You know, if you want to take a big European vacation, or if you want to take 6 months and go live in Amsterdam like Wendy Monday did. I love that story. You know, any of that kind of stuff. And then, so now you have 2 different numbers, but for me, I'm kind of more of a financial person, and I need to know what I need to make sure that I feed my family and do the things that I need to do every day. And then I have my goal to live the life that I want to live. And that also includes the investments, the retirement funds, giving to my favorite charity, and then growth for my family and myself. So this is a very simple list, I think, to get you started there. If you want something even more insane, there's some great little financial trackers on the Mac, Excel, whatever it's called, numbers. That's where I started with mine. So yeah,
There you go.
I think it's great to know all those numbers.
Absolutely. All right, so some business plan ideas. Do you have a database? Have we ever asked that before?
I don't think so. Should we poll the room?
Boys, we never talk about it. Just we'll do it for the first time today. So if you don't have a database, it's probably a good idea. Are you talking 50 live people live per week? Are you do you have scheduled time each day when you communicate with customers? I can't stress this enough, how important it is to be the leader of your business, and when you have clients, to be proactive about talking to them. What's the expression? If your client calls you first,
You're late.
You're in trouble.
yeah, you lost, right? You're late. If your client calls you first, you're late. You kind of lost. Just for that second, but you can win again. Pick up the phone and call them. I think I talked about this in a sales meeting a month ago. I had my house painted. He gave me a quote. He was supposed to do all this stuff. I was a little frustrated. Maybe I was being too particular. Maybe I didn't understand it, whatever, but there was no communication. They would show up. I wasn't sure when they were gone. I hadn't seen the guy in 2 weeks. No call, the old no call, no show, right? I paid him half of it. He's done half the work. Maybe he just got annoyed with me. I don't know, but I haven't heard from him. And I'm actually kind of using it as a little test to see how I'm feeling about it. And I can tell you that I'm kind of annoyed. I'm actually really annoyed. Because my mind is going to the worst place. He's abandoned me. He's giving up. He skipped town with my money. Like all the things. If you just call and be like, hey, just want to let you know, we started on another job. It's going to be 2 weeks before we can come finish up those last things.
Or like I had COVID or whatever it was.
Anything. Yeah, I got hit by a bus. I don't know. I have no idea, but my mind is going to all the worst places. Your clients and customers will do the exact same thing. So be proactive, talk to them. Do you have a buyer interview sheet? Do you have a hot list and warm list? What's your system for generating continuous flow of buyers and sellers? We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Understanding your listing consultations. If you don't go on a listing appointment every week or at least once a month, then you need to be practicing doing that. Same thing with a buyer. Sit down with a partner, role play it, practice it. I'm not a sports guy, but I know sports teams do a lot more practice than they do playing, right? It's just, you've got a lot of money in the line. Every time if I lose a listing or lose something that doesn't go right, I was thinking to myself, like, what did I do that could have been better? And I try to run through it in my head and practice it. So try to practice that stuff. These are all ninja questions, Sweet 16 listing questions, marketing plan. We're going to talk about that. Pricing or staging videos. I don't know if that's, to each their own on that. 10-step buyer process, routines. We're going to talk about routines, how to prioritize things. Relocation packages. I think one way to sum this up too is if you ever get a question that you don't know the answer to, it's okay to say, I don't know, but write it down and figure it out and put it in some sort of either commit it to memory or put it in part of your plan to answer that question preemptively next time. I'm the only one that's happened to where you get a question you don't know the answer to, or you think of an idea when you're in the moment, and then you're in the moment again a month later, and you're like, I never did anything with that. I should put it in my package. All right, so in terms of insights, Andrew, I'm going to put this on you. Y'all shout out some things here that has worked for you. What do you think is the most successful habit that you've been doing this year? Not to be the most, but at least one of them. What are some real successful habits? Real estate reviews, all right? What else? Note writing.
I said village is the note writing. Brokerage. Honestly, I get so many comments about roads and them.
You wrote us a note.
And I'm like, they're like, people don't like
You know, right? Actually on like dead trees.
Morbid.
Who else? Successful habits.
I think showing up at least one day a week, like a Tuesday in the office.
Showing up at least one day a week at the office.
And spending the day here.
Spending the whole day here.
If we can, networking with foundations.
Yeah.
Work some deals.
Networking, working deals, plus you might just overhear something you might happen to like. Those are the kind of the intangible things that you will never be able to plan for, but they happen. And it really is awesome. What else? Big successes?
Every 2 weeks, I call developers or agents.
Every 2 weeks you call developers or agents that have new developments coming out, so that why?
So I know it's about, so
You're in the know.
at least the passion. So
You're the first ones in there, you can offer your clients really good service. I don't know that stuff if I haven't called. Yeah, takes a little effort on the front end. But that's awesome. Anybody else? Big successes? Successful habits?
What about your struggles? I know we don't like talking about struggles, but we need to know what our struggles are too. So any struggles? I'll go first, social media.
Yeah, maintaining my database. like an up-to-date form. You know, I feel like it's been tough for me, just because like I've got a lot going on and then I neglect that, but then I need that to create a more business, so it's a kind of a catch-22.
Maintain your database, on a consistent routine basis.
Yeah, just like, I mean, I'm sure there's multiple people I've met in the last 4 months that I've got to put in.
Okay. Is that a struggle for anybody else? Oh, well, you're all alone.
I think no one else has no problems.
What else? Biggest struggles?
Sticking with time block,
Time blocking?
That's a good one.
Okay.
actually sticking to it.
Actually sticking to it.
Yeah.
Not getting pulled into a direction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My one rule on time blocking is you can't delete it on your calendar. You have to reschedule it. It's a good one.
Self-promotion is very difficult.
Self-promotion.
Like knowing which funnel to target your self-promotion. You know, are you the person like, is Instagram your thing? Is letter, I mean, like what mechanism is really going to work for you? Like, you try them all and you spend time going down rabbit holes, like, I should do TikTok, I should do whatever. It's like overwhelming and then you don't do anything. Because you're just like,
Trying to do everything, a little bit of everything that you do enough.
Yes.
How do you overcome that?
Me personally, I'm using my social media as my biggest struggle, and I'm in that bucket right now of just not doing it because I'm so frustrated, overthinking it. Right now I'm trying to hire someone to do it,
right.
and we're gonna go through that in a second when we get through the enjoying part of it. But yeah, I mean, you just start small, take a little small chunk, and do it small, and then add to it as you get more in the habit. Struggles are hard to talk about. So let's talk about what we enjoy. What do you enjoy the most of all the things that you do? Whether you're good at it or not, what do you enjoy the most? Investors.
Working with investors. What makes you, what like that brings you energy? How so?
Enough that they can work side around.
So you're making money, they're making money, kind of the thrill of the deal. That is. Who else? Enjoyment.
Prospect.
Prospect.
Oh.
Love
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Who else
It's-
loves
it's the rest of the
prospecting?
stuff that Scott does.
JC Connolly hates everything about this business, but loves prospect. So a stranger in front of JC's space will be best friends with him.
Love it.
No, but you're really talented at that, and that's the reason we ask this question is because it's different than what you're most successful at. Sometimes, if you can marry those, wow, like be unstoppable. What about the least?
Maintaining your database still.
Paperwork.
Paperwork.
Beat up by clients and other realtors.
Getting beat up by clients or other realtors.
Not
So it's
literally,
the,
but figuratively.
7-foot, 19-inch tall.
Again, figuratively.
Any other least, enjoying the least? What can you do to solve your least, enjoyable things?
Hire them out.
Yeah, outsource that.
Oh my gosh. 'Cause
Outsource.
most of those things don't require real estate license, right?
Right.
Entering things into a database, excelling, improving. What you're good at, right? You might be good at it, but maybe it's not the most, maybe it's not bringing you much success. So try to kind of marry these things where you can excel, you enjoy, and are successful financially. If you can do that and running on that, it's pretty awesome.
The whole point of this exercise is for next year to figure out what you're going to concentrate on, what you're going to outsource, and what Village can take over for you. A lot of times in these conversations, we get marketing. Marketing comes up. Like, I don't want to make a flyer. I don't want to create a newsletter. I'm stumped on how to create a newsletter. I'm really bad at staying in the flow with my clients. These are all things that we'll do for you here at Village. So that's a great, when you look at this and you see what am I struggling with and what am I not enjoying, a lot of times we can point you in the direction to take those off of your plate. And then you're stuck with what you're good at and what you enjoy doing. That's the hope.
Yeah. And then understanding how many households you have in your database is important. So, you mentioned time blocking as a thing here. We're gonna watch a little video about that.
Hello, Ninja Nation. My name is Eric Hardy, and I'm founder and co-creator of the Ninja Planner. And today I'm here with your weekly action tip. And what I want to talk about is rocks, when I'm calling the attention time, which relates to this. First of all, let's talk about rocks. Now, many of you have probably heard a decades-old story, an analogy about a professor that walks into a classroom and sets an empty jar on a table. And then proceeds to pull out 5 rocks and places those 5 rocks in the empty jar. And those rocks go right up to the rim. The professor asks the students, hey, is this jar full now? They see the rocks up to the rim and they think, yeah, I think the jar is full. And so then the professor leans down below the table, pulls out a bag of pebbles, and proceeds to pour those pebbles into the jar. And the pebbles shift and slide around the big rocks, but all the pebbles fit in, and they come up right to the rim. The professor then asks the students again, hey, is this jar full? And the students say, well, it looks full, it's up to the top, but we're not exactly sure. He next reaches down below, pulls out a bag of sand, pours the sand in, shakes the jar a bit, but all the sand eventually goes in, it comes up right to the rim. Now the students are thinking this jar is definitely full. But he then reaches below the desk, pulls out a glass of water, and pours the water into the jar. All the water goes in, filling it right up to the top. And now the jar is full. Then the professor says, this jar is an analogy to your life. These different things represent different things in your life. The big rocks are the big important things, like your family, your relationships, those things that are critical to take care of. The gravel or the pebbles represent school, work, other major points in your life, but not nearly rising to the level of your big rocks. Finally, sand and water, all those other little distractions that filter into your life and still take up space, but you don't necessarily control. So that's the analogy. So the critical thing is you take care of your big rocks first and you put those in your jar, which means you schedule those first, take care of them in your, and the way you allocate your time. But now what shifted about this analogy in the last 5 years is we transitioned to what's called the attention economy. And that's where this comes. See, the goal of this is through sound, notifications, pop-ups, all those different things, social media, all of those things are striving to become the big rocks in your life. They use technology to make everything feel like a big rock, when in actuality it's not. So how do you combat this? The solution to this is what I call create a plan for your attention before there's demand for your attention. What that means is that you sit down ahead of time and plan out what are the big rocks in my life. You schedule those into your plan ahead of time, into your day, making sure you have time for your family, for your relationships, all exercise, those important things for your health and your life. You plan those first before you get into your day and have demands on your attention, because once those demands come in, pebbles, sand, water, all those things will take over and fill all that space. So if your rocks, your big rocks come into your life first, then that space will be filled out with things. So critical element here is make a plan for your attention before there's demand for your attention, and that is the way to combat the attention economy. Thank you, information. Have a great day.
Cool. Makes sense? I've heard that analogy. I think I've heard it before. If you try to put the big rocks in first and then the sand, it all fits. You put the sand in first and then the big rocks, like, yeah, you know, dropping a rock in your foot. What if I told you there was a way to mathematically look at and calculate how your how many people you need in your database to make a certain amount of money?
Pretty cool.
So let's say your median sales price is $400,000. If you take your median sales price times 0.05, that's $2,000. That's the value, right? It kind of feels a little bit icky to call each household, put a number on their head. But that's the value of each household in your database. Assuming you are in the flow of that, right? That means that you have to be calling them, you've got to be doing multiple
Face-to-face.
touches every year, right? So there's a couple things that you have to do to make that work. But it's stuff that you're totally capable of doing. So median sales price $400,000, $2,000 per household. Why do we do households, not people? Yeah, we don't sell people. Yeah, it's illegal. We sell households.
That's number two, dead trees and selling people.
Yeah.
3 strikes,
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah.
Gross commission income, $200,000. Sounds like a lot of money. Total households in your database, it's actually GC data. 200,000 divided by $2,000. That's 100 households in your database. Do you believe that? It looks almost unbelievable, doesn't it?
It's true.
It is true if you can do a few things, right? So reverse engineering your goals, make your goals more tangible, but make them more connected to you and why you need them, as opposed to picking out an arbitrary number out of thin air. And it makes them more tangible and making sure that you can stick with doing things consistently. So this is all available in that Ninja database. If you go to the Ninja database, which is tinyurl.com/Ninja database, there's a little marketing success cheat sheet calculator here. It'll do all the math for you. But Pi time, everybody remember what Pi time stands for? What is P?
Productive.
Productivity time. I is investment in
time.
productivity time. E is everything else, right? So productivity time is anything that requires a real estate license and or involves you, a client, or customer, and a contract. Right? That's what's actually making money. You're showing a house, you're writing an offer, you're taking a listing. All of those things require a real estate license. That's P time. If you actually did 2,000 hours of P time, it would be, Jeff Bezos. It would be insane. Investment in P time are flow activities, calls, face-to-face meetings. It's the pipeline building, right? It's all those things that drive, that turn things into P time. So when David Doris was making a phone call and then going to coffee, that's I time. That might turn into a contract. It might turn into a referral. It might not, but if you do enough of it consistently, it's going to drive P time. So P time usually takes, how many hours of transaction do you think we spend? We said 10. We were talking about this. We felt like probably 10, like a really quality P time, right? Meeting with a client, showing houses, showing the house. Maybe it's a little bit more, maybe a little less. Averaging, yeah.
It's an average.
Maybe it's a little bit more, which is funny. People are like, how's the market? You almost just be like on fire, playing golf every day. It's like, no, actually, we're working 3 times as hard just to get once.
Yeah.
So thank goodness things have gotten a little more normal, because your time can be more efficient with that. So P time is usually about 10 hours of transaction from start to finish on average, probably. I time is about a 1-to-1 ratio for P time. So for every hour of I time, that drives P time. So if you can go do 20 hours of phone calls a month, 20 hours of phone calls, coffees, lunches, that investment time should drive into about 20 hours of P time. E is everything else. E is the sand, the water, the pebbles, right? So that's the math we just did. How many hours should we be spending in P time and I time? Well, if your median sales price is $400,000 and your income commission, your gross commission income goal is $200,000. This is before expenses. It's just like straight line, Altiform commission dollars. If your average commission rate is 3%, then you need 16.6 transactions in order to, at $400,000 in order to get $200,000 in gross commission. So it's 166 hours of P time and 166 hours of I time. That's 333 hours of focused efficient activity in a year. And there's about 2,000 working hours in a year, and a 40-hour work week. 2,080 if you don't take any vacation, right? So You got a whole lot more than that.
You're left with 1,600 hours of everything
Everything
else.
else, just to like play around,
Play
do golf
golf.
during the day, go wander the aisles of Target at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday.
Go to the spa.
So how do you do it? So recap, the most effective way to stay in touch. If you did 300 calls per year, assuming I can call at least one member of each household in my database 3 times per year, that's 100 people in the database, right? That's 6 calls per week. That's 1.2 calls per day. Or 6 calls a week, in one day, whatever it is. Flow, so that's calling every member or each household 3 times per year. Shouldn't be that hard. Flow, 3,600 touches per year, assuming you send each household 3 pieces of mail per month, or 3 pieces per month. That could be email, mail, real estate reviews, some sort of genuine value-added touch. That's 300 touches per month. If you're spending money on that, let's say you're spending money on postcards or Lolo or things like that, that's $2 of average. Let's say it's $2 per piece. That's $600 a month, $700 a year. If you're trying to make $200,000 a year, your expense ratio is 3.6%. You spend $7,200 a year in some effort to make $200,000 a year. I would do that all day long.
Yep.
A lot of you do it all day long. It really works. So again, where to find this? Part of the success cheat sheet. If you want to look at that and play with the numbers, you can go to tinyurl.com/ninja database. You all seen this before? This is kind of a do-it-yourself 40X, right? So affirmations. Hampton, I see Hampton doing those every morning. 2 personal notes a day. Hampton of the Deutsch. She writes her notes while she drives.
While she drives, please don't do that.
A sales meeting, attend a training session, review and update your hot list and warm list. If you need somebody or a piece of paper to just remind you, like, what's the next best thing I can do right now to have I time and P time, look at this list. These are all good I time and P time activities. Databases, we talked about this. I'm not going to go through all the details of it, but it's really important to have a database. And if you need one, you can go to tinyurl.com/ninja database. The simplest way to increase your business: review your database every week, review your hot list and warm list every day. It will remind you that you haven't called someone in a long time, and then it will be much easier to call them as opposed to just being like, I got to make calls, I got to make calls, I got to make calls. Then you can be much more genuine and authentic with that. So marketing, we talk about marketing real quick, just kind of budgets. This is your budget.
This is Brent's budget.
Oh, that is my budget.
Yeah. Brent, you want to talk about this real quick?
Oh, yeah.
It comes over here, so you can do okay, Zoom.
So
Let's
this
just
is,
go away from you. I just realized how this is.
Yeah, no, this was, I was looking, I was like, oh, great. This isn't my spreadsheet.
I love this. I come from corporate, so I love these numbers. So basically, this is easy because you can take it, you can go back from last year. And generally what I do is I look at my taxes per quarter or for last year. And then based on what my new business plan is, I increase it based on that. But basically, all you're going to do is go down here and you're going to put in your numbers of what you want to spend every month. So you're going to start with what your commissions are. And your commissions go in a couple of different spots. You have gross commission, and if you're charging a base commission, you'll add that in. And then if there's any other income, you'll add that in. So you'll have your total gross income all the way across for the months, and it totals up at the end. And then you're going to go down and you're going to look at your taxes. So the first one is going to be your taxes. You want to make sure that you're taking the appropriate taxes out each month. And then the next one is your retirement, your advertising, and you're just going to go down the list. We kind of gave you a percentage average. You can change this if you want. Okay. For newer agents, this works well, but for more experienced agents, you're going to be spending maybe more money. You'll just go in and you'll update those numbers, the percentages, and it'll do it for you across. So for example, if we were to change this to 2, it's going to update the numbers all the way across.
And we'll send this is on the Google Drive toolkit. We'll send it out to everybody right after this is reminder.
Now, the nice piece when you're looking at this, you can see where your total is up top, but then after all of your expenses,
Where did all the money go?
I know. You know, so You can adjust this to make it work for you. And, yeah, take it from there. I love this sheet.
It's a great one.
Thanks. Good work. All right, so what about some things that you can do? Some ideas. These are just a few ideas. Things, if you need touches, if you need touches, right? Auto flow. Who's signed up? Who's got their database on the parksandhome.com/backend, the auto flow emails? There's an art, science, and newsletter email. 3 emails a month. Easiest thing in the world, and it costs like what? Oh, that's like nothing. It doesn't cost anything to you. Lolo, who uses Lolo? All right, $1.10 a name. They get a gift. I've got some people that love it. Some people never see it, but they ignore it.
I send it, no one uses the gift, but I don't care, because they're getting something from me that's not real estate related, and they're being reminded that I love them.
And when they do use the gift, you're supporting you actually by them using the gift, they're actually supporting a local economy. So it's a $10 or $15 equivalent gift. Sometimes it's food, sometimes it's there's a little cool place on Charlotte called Oak.
One of a kind.
They're actually moving behind Frothy Monkey in the nation.
They really?
I just went to their opening dinner.
Awesome. Okay, so,
You need to go see it.
so like they had a cool Nashville coffee mug one time.
They
So
love
sometimes it's
Village,
just-
by the way. I mentioned to the owner, I mentioned to her, she's like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. You support us so much.
Oh,
You're
that's so
wonderful."
sweet.
And they are planning to, thank God, they're gonna come up with gifts relevant to birthday and season. And you can just go on,
Wow.
yeah, curated, and they've got the most amazing items for sale. So it's just one more little place to know about.
Well, they created a scent specifically for parks. Is that how the Parks Village?
They have a sense.
They'll do a cinch for you.
Back in social media, automated social media posting. Anybody? I do it, a couple people in here. Awesome. Real Scout real estate reviews. You can do real estate reviews on your own. You can also set up. Real Scout has a really good, effective tool to send market updates. You do it monthly, quarterly. And it's a great way to set up your clients. That's how much is that? Oh, that's right.
Free
That's right.
99.
Annual real estate reviews. Takes a little time, doesn't cost you anything, unless you can. I would, if you can't meet with them face to face, I would deliver it to their front door.
That's what I do with them.
Yeah.
Brent's great at doing them face to face. I do a monthly, or quarterly recently gift drop off at the front porch, and I pop the real estate review with the gift.
That's right, no cost
It's
there.
great.
Well, market update postcards. It's 2 per month, right? How's the market? And then like best pumpkin patches. The one for, I look back at, let's see, this was September. This is best art crawls, record shops, easy, frozen delights, holiday lights examples. So anyway, there's a bunch of different things. It's just feel good stuff. It's branded to you. It looks good.
You didn't have to create it.
Yeah, you don't have to create it. You can upload your database, whatever the cost of the postcard and postage is. Boom. $1 a piece. I don't remember exactly, but you don't have to put everybody on there. But hone down your database, figure out who you want to have that, and start sending it to them. A lot of this stuff is automated. It takes a minute to set it up, but once you get it going, set it and
Forget it.
just don't forget people. Forget about doing the work. Birthdays and anniversary calls, really free there, and really valuable. Handwritten notes, not while you're driving, but while you're. And I didn't even put phone calls on here because it's just obvious. But I guess I put birthday and anniversary calls. We're just checking in. So if you want to do any of these auto flow postcards, you go to expressdocs.com. If you go to myvillagemarketing.com, click on helpful links. It gives you all the links. Again, there's plenty of resources on how to do this. Talk to your office manager. They can help you do that. And if you really don't want to do any of this stuff yourself, you can delegate to marketing concierge. There are post-close follow packages. It's a small fee, but basically somebody just knocks it out for us.
It's worth it.
Totally worth it. Because is this P time, I time, or E time?
E.
It's kind of E time,
Well,
right?
except for the face-to-face part.
Yeah, the face-to-face part of the phone calls are high times. The automated stuff is kind of e-time, but it's valuable. It's kind of it's a blend between e-time and high time. But it's setting it up is definitely e-time.
Mhm.
The actual sending it out is high time. Investment. All right, so last thing we're gonna do, and we're almost done, but if you want to, does anybody have a pen and paper? So take a few minutes, and I'm gonna leave this on for 10 minutes. You run, we're wrapped up. But it's a 10-minute exercise to write a letter to your future self.
Go
So-
to the next slide.
What's that?
The next slide gives,
So-
sorry.
A few things to do, right? What big life lessons would you hope to learn when you're sitting in this room next year, 1 year from now? What's one business goal, one personal goal that you can congratulate yourself for achieving? Who helped you achieve those goals? How are you grateful to them, to those that helped you? What relationship or relationships are you most proud to have watched grow? 2023. What did you stop doing consistently in 2023? 2022. No, 2023. This is in the 1 year from today. You're writing a letter to yourself. And then what did you don't have to answer all these questions. Just little thought-provoking questions. And what did you start doing consistently in 2022? What are you doing here to your brain? I'm trying to check it a little bit. This is what affirmations do every day. This is a fun little exercise, so make a little playlist for this. Questions?
Great men fall without cry. Tears fill the eyes of their loved
We got 4 more minutes and then Still writing, still writing. That is all we got for business plan, so. All I would say is at some point this week, shoot the partner to help us staff that. It makes a big difference. For sure, the office, it happens pretty naturally. Don't, then reach out, find somebody, and we help them out too. Makes a big difference. Sometimes it's alone. As I said many times before, this is going to get lonely. So take advantage of the opportunities to not let it lonely. Find somebody to experience it. Pretty awesome. So this is give a little writing this letter. Pretty awesome. So thank y'all for being a part of this, and thank you for being a part of it. I'm gonna do more of these. We got a couple more coming up, so enjoy. You want to sit here and write a little longer? Go for it. Put all this thing.
It's a good playlist, Zach.
So maybe there's for whatever day is it gonna be the exact same as this, or will it be different? Because I didn't fill out the stuff. Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I can't add schedule. Oh, Yeah. I know, isn't that funny? Good job. Was after work. Yeah. That's crazy. So you get to like be. Yeah. Yeah. And the first 2 days at sea, you could ever get.
For sure.
Yeah, how many days back?
Yeah.
So. The other.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard it's not. Yeah. Yeah. The secret. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said, right? Like, put it on your Thanks so much. That's exactly all good things, yeah. 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 We've got our. Probably been like, yeah, but they're working at pushing each other. She likes to make others.
Good.
Yeah. No, that brother would be up. That sounds good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You'd be like,
My sister was like.
It does, like,
yeah, and I already know everything, but I don't know if you want to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Right, yeah. Yep. We're gonna go to the open house now.
Awesome, yeah, we just got our own house. All right, so people, I'm gonna turn off the share. Thank you all so much for joining. And, enjoy your day.
Yeah.
You got minutes?
Yeah. Did you meet you guys?